Previously on AFTN.
Oh my god, what are we gonna do? Zach's not coming. He's stuck in Seattle. Michael's in Portland. I don't know if this app's gonna work. I have to talk and push buttons at the same time. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio. If you're listening to this show on the podcast, it's episode 292. And as you'll have heard at the start of the show, Steve had a bit of a panic attack last week. We are going to actually auction off his underwear later in the show just as a fundraising thing.
I don't know if that's going to work.
Well, just the ones you're currently wearing.
Oh, okay.
We'll do that. Anyway, I am Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
And we're upbeat because the Whitecaps got a point yesterday. That was one more point than they had to start the day, according to Robbo.
It's there's a lot of things that we are going to or might talk about this evening that are really enraging.
Yes.
And not enjoyable.
No. It wasn't a fun Saturday. I was more disappointed that I decided to cut my holiday short because I didn't want to miss this match, whereas I could have had an extra 3 days down the Oregon coast away from all this smoke.
Well, to be fair, the match itself...
It was entertaining.
Yes. Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well, the second half was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last 5 minutes of the second half.
Yeah.
Last 5 minutes of the first half. Yeah.
Robbo did describe the Whitecaps' performance in the first half as awful.
Yes.
Which we'll come to that. Was that a generous description? Anyway, it was a bit of a roller coaster of a match. It was really up and down. The Red Bulls came out all guns blazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked bad. First 5 minutes, you're kind of thinking, yikes, what's got in store?
I actually had a low tire pressure on a different tire than last week.
Okay.
So I was actually late to the game.
Oh.
Like I walked...
we certainly heard you later in the game. We were talking about that.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that later. Some people needed to be told what they were doing wrong.
Yeah.
No, we were walking up to the stadium and someone outside was like, hey, it's already 1-0 Dead Bull. And I was like, oh, great.
You just got back in your car and went home.
No.
We fought back. We took the lead. Somewhat unsurprisingly, we actually equalised because that caught me by surprise. Totally different team in the second half. We'll come to that. Then we did so well.
Actually, it was not totally different team. It was just one player different in the second half.
Ooh, yeah. We blew it late on against 10 men. As I said to kick this bit off, Robbo spun it post-game that it was 1 point more than they had when they started the match.
Which is true. Why do you get mad at that?
I know.
It's true.
Factually correct. No fake news here. I look at it, though, as 2 points lost, which was my first question to Robbo in the scrum. And then a bit later on in his presser, he said, some folk will say it's 2 points lost. And that was me.
You, yeah.
It is 2 points lost.
Oh, it has to be. Consider that. Considering the goodwill they had from last week's Portland game, where everybody was thinking that's the game they're going to throw away. When going into this, you're okay if you come out these two games with 4 points.
Yeah.
But once you win that Portland game, then you're salivating, going, "Oh my God, we get 6 out of 6 at these two games."
Wait. Belief was high.
Yeah. Why are we talking about Saturday? There was no post game coverage of Wednesday.
We are going to come to that in part 3.
I know, I saw it. Why are we not talking about that first?
Because
all right.
Goes with the flow into part 3.
Oh, I'm
didn't
gonna
want to start off super defensive.
I'm going to have to leave because I was on vacation. I didn't get a chance to catch the game, so I can't hear any spoilers.
Okay.
So I'm going to avoid the game.
Okay.
I'll walk out for that segment.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy it. A trophy was raised.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me who raised it.
That's all I'll say.
Oh, man.
I don't know who raised it, actually. I didn't watch that far. Oh, yeah.
Well, now you just gave it away.
Yeah.
Wait, how do you didn't see what I did?
I saw what you did.
I made the universal symbol for
baldness.
Right, well, yeah, right. Portland. They were cock-a-hoop in the locker room last weekend. It's like the team was buzzing. They went for voodoo donuts after the game. Feel that may explain Wednesday's match, but...
The donuts or the food?
Hey, I've had a few donuts from Voodoo Donuts in my time. You do not feel like running around in the heat after that, or doing very much. Blue Star Donuts, anyway, is the place to go.
It's a better place.
I tried to explain that to them, but they are also closed at that time of night.
Yeah.
But the belief was there. Then Toronto sapped all... Oh, sorry, Steve. Toronto sapped all that belief out of them.
That's okay. It's already been
okay, but the crazy thing was, because actually I was just listening to some of the post-game stuff from Portland on the way over here. One of the crazy things about that game was just like everyone bought into the plan. Everyone was at or above their levels.
As Stefan Marinovic said, they felt like defending for the first time in what seemed like forever.
Exactly. It was crazy.
They even had 5 back there at one point.
And then to have 2 games in a row of not that is very discouraging.
I mean, what is blowing a lead against 10 men at home in a game that, frankly, you had to win, especially when you're 89th minute, 90th minute, what does that do for a team mentally? Or you do get the impression with this team that nothing faces them. Does this do anything to them mentally?
Well, obviously we'll find out next Saturday. But the thing is, though, and maybe we'll talk about this later on, it's not. There's more going on with this team than just results and just training right now.
Oh, yeah.
So you wonder how much that plays a role in this, right?
Yeah. I was looking for a song called Dead Men Walking, but maybe
There's a movie.
Yeah, we'll save that for another
We made a little thing for Chivas. Do you remember that we made for Chivas?
Oh, no.
Dead Club Walking?
Oh.
With the Don Garber's face and a goat. You don't remember that?
You can save that for Columbus. Right, let's get to the game. Starting lineup. It was understandable that there was changes because there's been a lot of games. Some of the players knackered.
Is that what you say?
Leggy, which seems to be the in word.
Yeah, I like knackered.
The moment. Yeah, knackered does it for me. But even with those changes, this was a team that looked knackered in the first half.
Yeah.
Alphonso Davies looked dead on his feet. And we were like, there's no way he's going to make it to the end. Yeah. Then had a resurgence in the second half. And
I was saying to you, like, if he can't do anything against the Red Bulls, what's he going to do against RB Leipzig?
Yes.
When he's with Bayern Munich.
Exactly.
Well, I think at halftime he might have had some good old Cascadian Canadian beaver buzz.
Yes. You had your nice beaver t-shirt on. Oh, I should have brought Pop Will Eat Itself Beaver Patrol to play.
Oh, that would have been fitting.
Yeah. Might get us thrown off the air, but yeah.
Don't drink if you're an energy drink. If you like energy drinks, don't drink Dead Bull. Drink Beaver Buzz.
Drink from the Beaver Cup.
But as they say on their site, only drink 1 a day.
Yeah.
That's what Beaver Buzz says?
Yeah, they say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a warning.
Anyway, any surprises for you in the starting lineup?
I think some people, I don't know if surprise is the right word, but they were concerned that Juarez went straight back in the team, even though it was obviously a high rotation game.
I expected him to because he was full of rest, so obviously he would be like playing up to his levels. Yeah, he was off at halftime.
It has worked in other matches, I think, this year, him and Felipe together. But it was really poor.
What about Hurtado up top? I felt he deserved to start.
Yeah.
I would have maybe liked to have seen him beside Kai.
Yeah. But that was never going to happen.
No.
Especially because Kai plays so much.
Yeah.
And you wanted some creativity in the middle, so that's why you put Jordy there.
Yeah. We're going to kind of come later on the show as to what is the best team. And can you fit the players you want in that team? Because it does look a bit complicated now.
I think I have my best 11 for sure.
Does Robbo? That's the big question, though. Now, it didn't take long, as we said, for Red Bulls to get on the board. You sadly missed it in person. I'm sure you've relived the horror online since.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Who
do you blame for this one?
Well, obviously on every goal there's multiple people. If you watch the different faces.
Yeah. I do want to say and give full credit to Bradley Wright Phillips, because that ball he played into the box, that is a ball that is going to give any defence nightmares.
And it was at an angle.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a square ball.
No.
And it was curling.
Yeah.
It was weird the way the movement was happening on that ball.
Beautiful delivery.
On top of that, we know Michael does not give Englishmen compliments
No.
easily, so you know he must mean it.
And then you got a German on the other end of it.
No,
Austrian.
Come
Sorry,
on.
I know they're kind of the same.
No.
I was
what
having
I
this
thought.
discussion with Zach yesterday.
I was just kidding. I purposely did that to you. But
He's the most famous German you can think of. He is Austrian.
He made a perfect run, I thought, and it was right there to meet the ball. Obviously, Nowitzki and Marinovic couldn't get to it.
Well, Kendall left.
Kendall
Kendall left it first of all,
Yeah.
which I think
and Aaron
was
Mond,
right.
I think Aaron Mond lost Bradley Wright Phillips, which you don't expect because Aaron Mond is more athletic.
Aaron Mond was a little bit up the
I think,
pitch.
wasn't he chasing him?
He was chasing back from being up the pitch.
exactly.
Okay,
But
but
Kendall left it because he didn't want to put it in his own net after
Right.
Daniil Henry.
okay, I'm glad you brought that play up because I feel like on this play and on that play, and you guys can disagree. Feel free to disagree. I don't like Marinovic's. I don't like Stefan's decision making on either of those to come for them.
I mean, Jake held his hand up after the match and said it was his fault as the defender. He should have got it. For me, if a keeper has committed himself, the keeper has to call off Jake and go, "That's my ball."
Yeah, both those goals.
The thing is with Marinovic is also he was backing up, and then the ball came in and he had to quickly get forward. And I think that maybe delayed him. If he was more in one spot, then I think he might have been fine.
It looked like he didn't want to take out Nerwinski because he
Right.
could have got hurt. Nerwinski could have got hurt.
Yeah.
You just have to go for it at that point.
Yeah.
And I mean, Royer had the easiest of tap-ins.
Yeah.
He's on form just now. It was a great Red Bulls goal.
And you felt the same thing on the Daniel Henry own goal.
Yeah.
If he's on his line, I think he gets a hand to it.
I still feel like Kendall could easily have booted it out of play, but yeah, it's a risk. It could have gone anywhere. I was concerned at that point because given Red Bulls the lead, dangerous team, best defensive record in all of MLS, that looked a long way back for the Whitecaps, and it felt like a long way back. Reina had a good chance that was kind of parried over.
Yeah. That was a good passing play.
Yeah, I mean, that was a lovely move and a lovely, well-struck shot, but that was the only thing the Whitecaps offered. Did not see them getting back into the game. Then Kendall comes up with a fantastic header, powering home, Jordi Reina corner in. Parker, I feel maybe could have done better to get to that. And of course, Kendall's right behind him to head home. Great goal.
The thing is, Kendall's, he was at the top of the box, and he weaved in between a couple of defenders. He lost his guy.
Yeah, he did
weaved
well.
in and then got right between Robles and Parker, and was able to obviously get higher than Parker, and then got in front of Robles, who didn't have any chance at the ball at all. It was a great header.
If you heard Kendall's comments after the game, partly I think how he was able to score both his goals is the way he interacted with Dead Bull's zonal marking. And so that was the key. So you talk about the weaving and stuff. Yeah, it's finding the pocket, finding the space within the zonal marking. And
But he was,
Which they'd clearly done their research.
but it seemed like he was marked by a specific person that was supposed to slow him down a little, and he got out of his.
So maybe it was a mix, a combo.
Yeah.
I mean, he did great, and it was for both the goals, and we'll come to the second one shortly, but it's delivery that's been lacking so much this season.
Well,
Basically, it's been lacking since Bola left.
Yeah.
Or Bola's first season in particular.
And it's interesting if you look at the technique used on each goal where they were different, right? The second one was that flutter kind of ball, which I usually
it was a lovely ball,
which I usually hate. I usually think those are terrible, but it worked out well.
I mean, well, let's come to the second goal. Kendall again, Felipe with the corner in. Afterwards, Parker felt he had been held down by Waston. I didn't think he had been.
He put his
from
hands on
watching
him.
it, But then watching the replay today, from one of the angles, he does have his hand on his shoulder. That is possibly a fair enough call, but not clear and obvious enough for VAR.
Apparently not clear and obvious.
But the thing is, before that goal came in too, the Red Bulls had a chance to get back in the game. There was the header.
They had two. They had the one that was like a hockey scramble.
Yeah, in the front of the net.
And which, if you watch closely, Aaron Mon just falls on the ball towards the end, which was fantastic.
It just like did a belly flop basically. And then the other one was the Bradley Wright Phillips, where he was in all alone.
Yeah, that was a good save by Marinovic.
Speaking of Aaron Mond, he's played quite well.
He has.
Next to Kendall this year. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
I think it's between him and Henry at this point to be who.
Well, let's come to that later.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I mean, the Caps, I said they looked like a different team. As you pointed out, there was just one player that was different, which was the halftime sub. Juarez went off, Tybert came on. Afterwards, Robbo did mention that he expected more from Effie, having been rested, but he was leggy. Another guy that's leggy. What is happening?
Who? Oh, Juarez?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Tybert came on and again looked good.
I read one comment I read about Rusty was he did 90 minutes of running in 45 minutes to partially make up for Juarez's
Oh, it's like
lack of-
Hurtado winning man of the match when he came on against Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, doing all that running. But, I mean, Davies had a new lease of life. The team played differently. Was it just that goal that gave them that spur? Or, I mean, what causes a team to look like they're on fumes and suddenly turn it around?
Well, I think part of it, you have to give credit to the coaching staff, the halftime team talk, right? Of changing things a little bit, partly personnel, putting them, in this case, I would say maybe putting them back on the game plan if they weren't really on it in the first half. And so I think you have to give some credit to the coaching staff for that. You obviously it wasn't held on for the full 45 minutes plus extra time, time added on. But,
don't you start calling it extra time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right, let's get to the two bookings that reduced New York Red Bulls down to 10 men. I've got some interesting thoughts on those.
Yeah.
First one, well, both by Murillo, both on Alphonso Davies. First one, 69th minute. Cynical as hell.
Yeah.
Did not go for the ball. It didn't deny a goal-scoring opportunity. You could class it as reckless, but you might not. But he knew what he was doing, and the fact for me that he didn't go for the ball, I see that as a straight red. When you've seen some of the other
for me
tackles.
too, and I talked to you about it at the time, that if you have a player on the ground and say he kicks out at somebody,
that's a
straight red.
Jose Altidore?
Yeah, that's a straight. Well, he was standing up
yeah.
and doing it, so that's a straight red. The ball was nowhere close, and he took a major swing at Alphonso Davies' knee, leg area. But so
and
that
you
was.
could even say his studs were up as well.
Yeah. So essentially,
Showing.
for me, that's a red card. I 100% agree with you. On
a lot
that.
of folk didn't think so afterwards.
Yeah, I do. I saw some people on Twitter saying, no, it should have been a yellow. In the ground, thought it was absolutely a red. However, going back to the Voyageurs Cup game, when Felipe got set off, I thought, there's no way that's a red. And then I watched the replay later. I watched in the ground a replay, and I was like, "That's no way that's a red." And then I watched it again, multiples, and I was like, "Okay, I see he got him." You saw the video online of all the marks. Okay, whatever. This I saw on the ground as a red. I watched the replay. To me, it's absolutely a red card.
Yeah, I agree. And that's not being biased.
No,
that's just.
I
would say the same if it was our guy doing it to a red.
There's
Bulls
no
guy.
intent to play
Off
the ball.
the air, you would say that, not on the air.
There's no intent to play the ball, and he's taken down from behind.
Yeah.
Right? And the other thing, which multiple people have talked about, is could the ref not have given him a yellow for the initial tug and then another yellow?
Exactly.
He should have been off.
Yes.
He should have been off. It was...
Well, he was sent off 15 minutes later. I don't actually think that
was
was
makeup.
a booking.
I
makeup,
agree with you. It's a makeup call.
It was... No matter what angle you watch it from, there doesn't seem to be enough contact, which then Davies is going down clutching his face. There was maybe a little bit of shoulder to shoulder. I didn't see anything hitting Fonzie's face.
Yeah.
It was harsh, but it was a makeup, and he deserved to be off at some point.
Yeah.
It was a borderline yellow. It was like some referees would give that as a yellow, some might not, but I think it was a borderline.
Because
it wasn't a definite yellow for sure.
I didn't go back and look at it again because I was so disgusted by the first one. But to me, it felt like even if it was shoulder to shoulder, Michael, it was too reckless and too much force. You know what I mean? Like, and sort of, even if it didn't get him in the face, it did, I think, stop his run.
Yeah, and I think that's where that's where it's a borderline yellow for me.
In a lot of ways, it would maybe have been better if they hadn't been reduced to 10 men.
They might have scored 2 goals.
Yeah, I'd said to Steve before the setting off, I fancy New York to get a second. It just had that whole feeling about it because they were so out of the game that you just thought they're going to get one chance. This is a team that just needs one chance and bang, they're going to get it. Now, this whole thing, why can't the Whitecaps play against teams that have gone down a man? We go down a man often enough to know how a team's going to play, because that's how we play. We just seem to struggle. And I guess, right, talking about the equaliser, first thing for you, was it a foul by Kendall to give away the free kick?
Yes, for
Robbo
me.
said afterwards it wasn't.
That's
Clear
really,
foul to me.
Doesn't really surprise me that I would say that.
This is the one where he goes up over the guy, right?
He goes up, his knees in the guy's back, and he gives him a shove.
I don't see
how that is not.
I didn't see the shove because I didn't see a replay of it, but I definitely saw the knee.
Yeah.
From open play, you can see that
in the stadium from the other end of the ground. It felt harsh, and then when I heard the coach's comment, I thought, oh, that's kind of reaffirmed me. So I didn't look at it again. But for you, it was
for me. It was a free kick.
It was definitely a free kick.
Every day of the week.
I agree with you. And the thing is, if he had just gone up. Because he definitely towers over, I think it was Bradley Wright Phillips.
Yeah, and as Robbo said, he was being penalised for his height, and it's not his fault, it's his parents.
No, because, he could have got up, and he could have headed that ball away without having his knee up.
Yeah.
I think he could have easily got to the ball. So that knee being up, that's just, I don't know if you want to call it lazy foul or just not thinking
it's
at that
just
time.
such a stupid challenge at that time of the game.
And then the spot.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was the ball that was whipped in was fantastic. It was, again, great delivery.
Adams, what's his first name? The young kid from New York?
The center midfielder.
Terry? No.
Tommy.
No. Tony.
No,
I don't know.
Terry.
I'll look it up.
What is that shirt you're wearing?
Urusai Yatsura.
Oh, what is that?
It's a Glaswegian band.
Tyler.
I knew it was a T.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, good
Deadbolt Tyler
old Ty
Perry.
Adams. A lot of folk initially were blaming Shea for losing Royer. We had an interesting discussion with somebody after the match, who we won't say who was asking us, who do you blame for the goal? Shea, we said. No. Alphonso Davies. Yeah. And watching it back when I got home, Fonzie lost his man.
And he knew
absolutely.
He knew it.
Yeah,
and
his
was
reaction was like, oh. And Shea knew it as well, because Shea, if you look at Shea, gesticulates towards Fonzie.
So again, multiple people can be blamed for multiple things on goals.
No, I like that. Shea's like, it's him, Robbo. It's him.
It wasn't me. Don't yell at me, Southsiders.
Even though it was Davies' player, I still think Brek Shea should do better on that.
Yes, but he should have done better. But Davies lost his man to begin with. Yeah. Even if Davies had tracked back, though, in saying that, I am not sure that anyone would have stopped Royer getting that ball. But it was a good finish, 2-2, absolute nightmare. That's our thoughts on the match. We're going to hear from the coaches in part 2, and we will bring you all that after this.
Hi guys, I'm Aaron Ma, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Fashion crisis hits New York. I saw a blind man, he was eating his fork. He said that's what you had to do to be cool. You eat your cutlery instead of your food. What a hippie diddly crazy world. What a hippie diddly crazy world.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of British Columbia. That was the Frank and Walters there with Fashion Crisis Hits New York. Very fashionable looking coaches yesterday. Robbo wearing that satanic goat's head top of his again. Yep. Zach's giving me a weird look.
The black thing?
Yeah. It's got the ram head on it. It's an English brand, but it's like a satanic ram's head, I feel. I feel he's made a deal for the devil to be undefeated these last 4 games.
And then
not a great deal, because obviously we've had 2 draws in that. Anyway, back to the game. 24 hours or so have passed since that late goal. I was trying to think of a nice way to say it. Anyway, but the Caps, they're unbeaten in 4 matches, as I mentioned there, because of the deal with the dark side. They're facing the worst team in the league for the next 2 weeks. Is that reason for optimism? Or is it hard to shake the gloom after this one? Wednesday.
It's tough to see because they haven't won in San Jose, if I'm not mistaken. They've never won there. They've tied quite a bit.
They've won.
I've seen some horrendous games at Buck Shaw there.
Yeah. But there was the Blood Spare game that they had. Remember the Blood Spare? When they had the blood on the kit and they had to borrow a kit from a supporter?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That was because of blood?
Wasn't it because of blood?
No, it was because I thought they forgot some kids or something.
Oh, maybe that was it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember. Then I'm not very cool. But they call it a blood spare when they have extra.
Didn't they like take Chris Deal's jersey and
they did.
and then they gave him a charge?
It was all meant to be kept quiet as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't want this to get out. And then someone messaged me and went, hey, guess what's happened to us all? So I put it out there. Anyway, let's hear from both head coaches. Now, you've heard our thoughts on the game. So we'll hear first of all from Chris Armas. Steve had along to chat to him. And then we'll hear from Robbo.
Who are the Warriors?
So, Coach, in the up and down game there, you guys dominated the first half a lot. Then had the late goal to the Whitecaps. Then you at the beginning of the second half, looked like you were going to get some goals in. How did the game go for you in your eyes?
Yeah, it's a strange one because we thought in many ways we controlled the game in the first half, especially and to come in right before halftime down. Giving up the set piece goal. It's disappointing for sure, but. And we're still okay. It's just they're dangerous on set pieces. They've always been with Waston, and you give them a lot of credit. We knew coming in that would be a difficult challenge, even with if Kai was in there. But look, it's always a challenge, the set pieces with Vancouver.
Obviously, this is like 5 games in 14 days. How it was important to get something in this game at the end there, and to kind of propel you towards New York City FC.
Yeah, we're always thinking about the big picture and trying to size up what's ahead, but while having an eye on one game at a time. So to come to Vancouver and start our tough stretch with a hard-fought point, down a man, the way we did it, I thought was a great way to kick things off here.
What has Tim Parker meant to you guys all year long? Obviously, he's helped a solid defense, but in the attacking as well.
And Tim has clearly made us hard to score on. Arguably one of the best defenses in the league, and the partnership with him and Aaron, they understand each other, they work well together, and Tim is just he's a real guy and a tremendous soccer player. So, especially for the way we play, his ability to run and read situations and good in the air, and then it comes back to his courage, and he's always up for it. And he had another great game today. So we're thrilled with Tim. He's had a tremendous year, and he's helped us in a big way.
You obviously have a very talented player in Adams. The Whitecaps obviously have Davies, who's kind of the talk of town. How is it coaching like a prolific young player like that, and in keeping him like kind of grounded, but also letting him elevate his game?
I mean, for our club, this is what we try to be. Develop young players and talents, and see them come through is always feels like you're doing something right. Tyler, on the other hand, it's who can take credit for him. It's Bob Montgomery, the old academy director, and helped him along in his development with all the coaching staff. But he's a gem. He's a gift, like Alfonso. Like these guys come along every so often. You see every game Tyler plays, and he grows, he matures, and that's probably his best quality. That he's when you listen to him speak to the media, he's just beyond his years. And you watch him play here, you watch him play in the national team. It's a joy to watch and to coach. He comes willing every day to get better. And it's usually not good enough for him, but we're so fortunate to have a player like this.
Did well to fight back, but then giving up that late goal. Do you take any solace from this game at all, or do you see it as 2 drop points?
Well, disappointed we conceded in the last minute off a set piece, which I think it was a dubious call for the free kick anyway. It wasn't a free kick, but we need to be better defending the back post. We knew what they'd do. We needed to move our line across a little bit, and we switched off of the back post. So disappointed for them, because the guys in there, because I think the second 45, we put on a really good performance. The first half, I thought we were awful. We were off it. We looked leggy. We looked lethargic. And we were probably lucky to be 1-1 at the break. So a tale of two halves, probably.
It's never one thing or even two things, but can you try to describe why the team's had such trouble keeping the ball out of its net this season? Why the defensive record is so as poor as it is?
If I knew, obviously I'd try and rectify it. We're working day to day on trying to get that right. I think we defended very well against a very good team, by the way. I think it's, when you look at it and reflect on it, it's a very good point for us. Yeah, we're disappointed we conceded in the last minute, but after the first half performance, if you would have said we would have drawn the game, I probably would have took a point, because I thought they were a much better team in the first half. But I think it's just individual errors we're making, and it's not just one person, it's across the board. It's when you make an error, you always want to maybe stay in your position rather than be positive and play on the front foot, which is what I said to my half-time. So sometimes it just comes down to a lack of confidence in your decision-making. I think that's what's happened too much this year.
Did it look like Kendall was inspired in this?
Yeah, he was great. He was great, and he's upset in there because the goal come from him winning a header. Because he's so big and strong and physical, he's got to go and head the ball. So he asked the referee why, but obviously these 2 goals are great for him and great for us because we get a valuable point. But you can't take that out of the game, him challenging for the ball, because it's not his fault how big he is. It's probably his parents.
Unbeaten in 4 now in MLS. Does this continue something for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're always looking at positives. If you're a positive person, it's a good point for us. And I know people say, it's 2 thrown away, but before the game we had no points on the board. Now we've got 1 point on the board, depending on results. And if you can take points when you don't play really well, which we didn't in the first half, you take them in the final stretch. And we're in the final stretch now, we know that. So it might be a valuable point for us come the end of the season.
The standings are so tight right now. With 2 games coming up against San Jose, they too must win games now.
Yeah, I think you'll see a little bit of end-to-end football a little bit more in the last couple of games, because teams have got nothing to lose, and when that happens, more risks are taken. So I think you'll see that end-to-end football, and it's enjoyable.
He's the gaffer. You can try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all.
The gaffer's there. Some interesting comments. Some of the stuff that Robbo said didn't go down too well. It does kind of feel, though, that in the current climate, that anything Robbo says after a game doesn't really go down too well.
Especially if they lose.
Yeah. Stuart Kerr tweeted today...
last night.
Was it last night?
Yeah, it was last night.
About how this was such a united group in capital letters. It was a united group, and they were defying the odds. Which seemed a bit odd, considering well,
they did defy the odds because they gave up the lead with 10 men.
Oh yeah, you don't expect a team. You don't
odds.
Expect a team to lose against 10 men.
Yeah.
It was just a very strange thing to say. He kind of was a bit slated for that online. I always feel though when teams come out and say what a united dressing room it is, it's basically saying, I don't care what you're hearing, we are united.
I do. Okay, that's sure. That's fair. But I do think that the whole us against the world thing does feel.
I don't mind that.
That feels legitimate.
Yeah,
like when you look
I
at,
like that.
When you look at MLS and how they look at the Canadian teams, particularly Vancouver and Montreal, and the refereeing, right? That you feel that. I mean, it's bad around the league, but over the years, I think Vancouver's felt very hard done by. And then, I mean, the whole salary budget stuff, DP spending is another conversation. I know a bunch of people yesterday in response to that tweet even talked about how, this is one of the teams that has a lower salary budget than Vancouver, which might be right in terms of the yearly wages, but definitely does not include the amount that Deadbull has spent on actual transfers.
Yeah.
Because was it Kaku? He brought. How many millions was he brought in for?
He was brought in for a lot.
He was brought in for I
think it was about 6.
Yeah, 6. And so, there was even a joke. I can't repeat that joke, but do you know the joke I'm talking about, Michael?
No.
Oh, okay. Will you play here? If you want to play here, oh no, that's always. Okay.
We can't not tell the joke now.
No, they're just like, hey, maybe a player like that could play here, except for there's no way we could afford the 6 million.
Oh, yes. Transfer fee to bring him in.
Yeah.
Well, we can now.
But so people are saying, Deadbull's salary budget is way less. But that does not include spending $6 million on one player on a transfer fee. Vancouver's never done that. The best they've ever done is half that. And that was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
But the fans seem to have certainly turned on the coaching staff, and the TSN commentators certainly mentioned a lot about the assistants' contracts not being renewed, which hasn't really been picked up too much on. But is there anything now that the management team can do to win the fans back, or is that ship sailed and even an MLS Cup win's not going to do it?
Oh no, an MLS Cup win will do it in a second.
What?
If they win the cup, yes. I don't see how people can be angry at the coaches at that point.
I do.
I will say. Really? I will say in terms of what you're talking about there, Steve. In terms of winning the MLS Cup, things were not well for Caleb Porter in 2015 in Portland. Okay, I know he was asked by people, "Why are you spending $5 million to transfer in Milano? Who is this guy? Why are you spending so much?" And
he was good in FIFA 14.
And his response was literally, "If we don't make the playoffs, I will lose my job." Right? If they had not made the play, and they finished 5th or 6th or whatever it was. If they had not made that run and made the playoffs, he would have been out of a job. Steve, I think you're right. If they did win MLS Cup, it would be hard in some ways not to bring him back. This whole coaching,
but then at that point, would he want to come back and use the MLS Cup to move on to somewhere else? That's the other option.
That's the thing. That's the thing, though. Yeah. Carl Robinson, I think people they get caught in the local bubble.
Oh yeah,
and they forget that Carl Robinson is connected worldwide in football.
Robbo's going to get another job.
He's not going to have a problem getting another job. I don't think.
He's been linked to the Welsh national team job, for God's sake. So it's not as if he's going to struggle to get a job. That's not the issue.
The thing about the assistant coaches is this is eerily familiar. This is exactly what happened in 2013. The end of 2013. The coaches' contracts were not renewed, and also very similar was had Martin Rennie, had they beaten Montreal in that Voyageurs Cup in May of that year, then Martin Rennie's contract would have automatically removed. One of the stories, I don't know if I've ever told this on the program before, but after that, Martin Rennie did ask for feedback from the football committee.
After he was let go.
No. After they went out of the Voyageurs Cup.
Oh, okay.
I've been told by multiple people, he asked the football committee, is there any feedback on how things are going? And, we obviously didn't win this, but in the season, and was essentially told, we'll talk at the end of the season. And it feels, I don't know if that's exactly what's happened this time, but it feels, unfortunately, like that's the path.
Well, I mean, if there is truth in the assistants not having their coaches or their contracts renewed, it's an unsettling thing to be hanging over the club at this time.
Right, it doesn't help. But that's the thing, though. What the owners and what the football committee are trying to do, what they want to do out of this, if things don't go well, if the playoffs are not made or the playoffs are made and it's not a good run, is they'll want to not bring back the coaching staff and tell everyone, look, we're putting all this on the coaches. And they won't take any responsibility themselves. This is how they've set up the football committee to work. When something happens that's wrong, they deflect the blame. They deflect the thing.
But they can then bring in a new coach with money. Some murmurs that we've heard are a new coach already lined up, 2, maybe 3 designated players already lined up. Don't expect big TFC Atlanta style money, but some serious difference makers already lined up. So if they're lined up, you have to feel they've been lined up because a coach is lined up, because you're not just going to put these big additions surely onto a new coach that they've not already run these by.
Right. So this is the first I'm hearing of this, right? But so
it's just speculation at this point.
But
rumors.
One of the things that's been said in the last year and a number of years really is in MLS, what's changed? We've had how many? Mark Reber had a tweet joking about how many players have played for
587.
Vancouver. Yeah. So Vancouver's had a lot of players in MLS. They've had 3 or 4 coaches in MLS. Those things have all changed multiple times. The only thing that hasn't changed is the approach and the people behind the approach. And the sad thing is that they've set themselves up. They circle the wagons whenever anyone's against them, and nothing can be done. And unless there's a real revolt from, like a unified, real big revolt from people.
Well, season ticket renewal is one of the things.
Yeah. If people don't renew their tickets, that's the only way you'll ever see change. And I don't see that happening this year. And so I think the circus, the carousel wheel will continue to go around at the circles. That is the Whitecaps ownership in FO.
If things are in the pipeline and they're not going to make these changes until the off season, they should extend the season ticket deadline.
So what they'll say to you, Michael? If you said that to them, you know what they'll tell you? And because if they said it's us, I've heard them say this in the past.
What would they say?
They would say, we are one of the latest clubs for season ticket renewal deadlines. A number of clubs have them. During July or August or whatever, or July. I think June or July, like a full, halfway through the season kind of thing. So let's say we're more than we're more than generous in the timeline we give for that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to some other current Whitecap stuff. I was going to talk about the defence in this part, but we'll save that to part 3. So if we're talking about players and coaches moving on, and you have to think that there's mass changes coming, you've got to look at some of the players that might move on. A lot of fans don't seem to like Juarez and Felipe. They are big money players. Juarez, of course, taken off at half-time yesterday. He's disappointed many. He came here, though, wanting to play a midfield role. He'd been playing right back for years before that. Is it maybe the case that there was a reason that he was playing right back and not midfield, because he's just not cut out for midfield anymore?
I don't know. With his limited pace, I wouldn't want to see him at right back either.
I mean, you have to feel he's not going to be here next year.
I don't know the state of his contract, but if because often they're 2 and 2 years and 2 option years for the club.
Yeah.
So
I'm crossing for a 1-1.
Felipe is another one. He's been getting a lot of abuse online. When the Caps posted his scrum on Friday from training, the comments, someone said, have you seen the comments on this? And I went and read them. They were pretty bad, saying he was a dirty player, he was a waste of money, why do they keep playing him? Is it just me? I like what he brings to the team.
Yeah,
I just feel he's not being utilised properly.
I agree with you there. I don't get, I know he's probably a dirty player, and he'll get stuck in, he'll waste and everything. I don't really have a problem with that, and I think he has been able to contribute quite a bit. I think in the first few games he had already picked up 5 assists in the first handful of games. I can't remember exactly what it was.
First 12 starts, he had 6 assists.
Yeah, that was pretty big. That was his career high at that point.
In the 11 appearances since, 10 of them were starts, he's had 1 assist, and that's since dropping back into the deeper role.
Yeah.
He got all his assists when he was playing further forward. He's been asked to play a more defensive kind of game. I just don't think it suits him. He's got a record and a reputation in this league for doing well. He's had all these assists over the years. He's just not being utilised properly here. And if he is, he's a key guy for the Whitecaps going forward.
He should be playing higher up and supporting players like Kamara, Davies, Reyna, Teixeira. He should be up there feeding them the ball, basically. He should be the.
But how do you fit all those players in?
Yeah,
like that's the thing.
Well, that's the big key.
One of the things is he's been moved back because they've decided to play Reyna as a second striker or the attacking central midfielder behind a striker. Because
it's hard to knock this 4-4-2 either because it has brought some wins and some success. But right now, the best two defensive midfielders are Russell Tiber and Ali Ghazal as a tandem, like together.
I think Felipe and Tiber play well together too.
Should we be going back to 4-2-3-1?
Well, but this is where I was thinking about this a lot today. This is where it's, and I think this is what Rob would say too.
He doesn't get caught up in formations.
Exactly, he doesn't get caught up in formations because the 4-4-2.
Neither does the team if you sometimes watch them play.
The 4-4-2, the way they're playing it is just
essentially a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah,
yeah.
So it's not a huge deal. In one way, it almost feels like spin when they put it out saying 4-4-2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they know people
wanted an attack.
People want there to be two strikers.
Yeah, but essentially, I want to see Felipe move up further up the field. I don't want him sticking there. And I think if you have a Tybert or a Ghazal playing with him, I think those guys can handle by themselves being back there. And then hopefully Felipe gets back in time to help support them.
That's the thing. Like if you put Ghazal in the team with Tiber, there's no spot for Felipe.
Yeah.
Because whether you're looking at 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1, you've got Kamara up top.
Yep.
You've got Davies on one wing.
Yep.
Probably Teixeira on the other. Or could Felipe do a wing role?
No.
So you're probably looking at Teixeira then, and then you've got Reyna as the 10 or the second striker.
Yeah.
The defence will come to in the next part. So then there's either no room for Felipe or you don't play Ghazal and you have Ghazal and Tiber.
And right now on the form, you think you have to play Ghazal and Rusty as your top two centers.
I do feel that would be better for giving up the goals. I just feel that's a better option.
I feel like I'm with the Tiber and Felipe camp. I'd rather see that and see Felipe be able, because I feel Tiber can run around and cause problems and kind of bust up the stuff in the middle.
I'm going to put my neck on the line and say Effie Juarez and Jordan Much.
Oh.
I saw Jordan yesterday
with
Meyer Bevan.
How was he? Yeah, Meyer Bevan is still here. He's had to sort out his visa issues. Flies down to Fresno on Monday.
I got to say goodbye to Bernie Abini too.
Yeah, Bernie Abini was at the game yesterday. Again, I saw him. I was like, I forgot all about you.
He was
chipper.
And he was very having been in a number of places around the world, like I think he gets it. You know, like he's very respectful and very appreciative of everything. And
I genuinely can say it was the happiest I've seen him for a while when he was.
I believe it.
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. It looked like a weight was off his shoulders, and he's going to actually be playing again. Anyway, we're going to be back in part 3, looking at the Whitecaps' defence. So we'll be back with all that after this.
Hi, I'm Tim Parker, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I spend all my sunny days just staring at my phone. I'm not waiting for your call, just really like my ringtone. I spend all my rainy days just lying by your side, and now I'm blaming all the sun for taking up your time. Do you think of me in the summer heat? Days without you are no fun. God, I hate the sun.
I hate the sun. Not just the newspaper, but just the sun. That was the Oh Wells there. Friends of the show, and of course, the band that does our theme song.
Is it okay if I love the sun?
You can love the sun. Newspaper or the big thing in the sky?
Like Jesus. Is that?
S-O-N. Oh, very fun. Anyway, you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio. Tell you what else is a big thing. The Whitecaps' defensive woes. Oh, where do we start? I'm sick of talking about this, but we kind of have to because it is the main thing. 2 more goals given up, not to mention the 5 against TFC. Sorry, Steve. Spoiled it for him.
Oh, I'm sorry I spoiled it for you because your feed was...
Yes. I was watching it in my hotel in Newport, and then he makes a comment about a goal, and I was because the Whitecaps, he's like, "Oh, the comeback's on." I was like, "Yeah, I haven't got to that bit yet." It made it exciting watching.
And then did you like my? What time is it in Oregon?
Yes. Yeah, we'll come to that later in this part. But yeah, the defence. Robbo constantly asked, "What's the answer to this?" Defenders yesterday were asked, "What's the answer to this?"
And he said, "If he knew,
he would tell us."
Yeah.
What,
no, he would fix it.
He would fix it.
Oh yeah. His usual answer to anything is like, "If I knew, I would tell you." I have noticed as well. Another thing that Robbo's saying a lot of these days is, "Well, football people know."
Oh yeah. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Just to kind of shoot down people that he doesn't say that to me.
Well, he has to deal with a lot of people who are not football people.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't blame him. For
I've had a
saying
few
that.
sarcastic off-record comments from him recently, but we'll come to that at the end of the season, I'm sure. Anyway, back to the defence. Robbo and the other defenders say they've got no answer to it. Is there one? It's the only thing that's going to save this a complete defensive rebuild next year. Is that too drastic?
It depends on. It could be drastic because if like certain players leave on their own or get transferred out, then that's going to be that'll be a big.
I'll be
change.
amazed if Kendall Waston comes back next year, especially if they have lined
You were
up
amazed
3.
after the World Cup, it must.
Well,
be.
yeah. Well, that didn't go according to how he hoped.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
But if there's 3 DPs coming in, Kendall's not a DP. So you either buy him down in Tam,
but they can
or
buy
he
him.
moves
No,
on.
but they can buy him down.
They can
because he's only on 6 something.
Yeah.
Right? But that is one thing, and I know some people will be happy about this. But I think the issues at the football club are higher up, and those should be dealt with, and those are the ones that are probably not going to be dealt with. But if you are going to not bring back the assistant coaches, which in effect puts the coach in a real tight place, and then you
basically makes Robbo's position almost untenable.
Yeah.
Or he embraces a new coaching staff and maybe a new philosophy.
Yeah, I don't know if you do that after they don't bring back your people, right? Like that's pretty
probably not.
But the whole reason I say that is there are a number of players who are here because of him.
Yes.
And so
Effie Juarez. Maybe a bad example.
Not the example I was thinking of. But there are a number of players who are here because of him, and if he's not here, I don't know how much they want to be here other than the fact that they're under contract and they have no other option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's not what you want.
You definitely don't want that either.
For me, of the regular starters on the back line, I think for sure because of the fact that I don't know how much you want to spend on these positions, I think Jake Nowitzki's back, and I think Marcel de Jong is back.
I see both of them back. I don't necessarily see them as being the starters.
I see one of them for sure starting because I don't think you bring 2 brand new starters at fullback. That's just that'll be just
it
costing.
depends who they are.
That'll be costing them too much money.
So is Franklin the backup again?
I think Franklin's probably gone next year.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they do bring in a brand new right back and a left back. I just don't think one of them will probably be starting quality and one of them won't.
Also, not 100% sure that Stefan Marinovic will be here next season. He does have aspirations to go and play back in Europe, especially in England. So I think his ideal scenario was he had a good season here.
Well, there's
get snapped up in the winter transfer.
There's
window.
a prime example though too. If you're not bringing back Kerr, like Marinovic is his guy.
I wasn't sure if Kerr was definitely one of the assistant coaches.
Oh, okay. Is he not?
Because he came in later, so who knows?
Because he might have a different contract.
Yeah.
Oh.
So just Pert.
No one's
and
ever
Forrest?
confirmed it. I took it to be Pert and Forrest, but it could be Kerr as well. But would Kerr want to hang around if it's a whole new thing?
Well, and if Kerr is gone, we saw it with
he brought in Stefan.
We saw it with Marius, right? Like it was not a happy marriage between Kerr and Osted. Essentially, right? I mean, like, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't,
They were professional with each other.
Yes, totally professional.
Well, you've got Spencer Ritchie that you can bring back from Cincinnati. He's been getting some starts recently and doing well, kept a few clean sheets.
What are those? Sorry.
I think that.
Well, we're not even tracking those. We're tracking 1-goal games.
Yeah, what Steve pointed out yesterday when it was just one, that was like a clean sheet. We were going to ask Robbo that. Did that feel like a clean sheet because you only let in 1 goal? And then that question goes.
You should not have asked that. That would have been.
I didn't. So it was fine.
The option wasn't there to ask it.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say what I wanted to say about that. But no, like,
you're going to say it wasn't a clean sheet because they shut the bed?
If even assistant coaches go, whatever, like, you will find players that will not want to be here, right? Like,
so what do you guys think?
We had a rebuild this year.
Yeah, a little bit of it.
It was, yes.
Yeah, and it looks like another one no matter what next year.
But that's the thing, though. MLS is like that.
Yeah.
I think I've said this on the show before. Ziggy Schmidt once famously said, not what you want to say, Michael. No, he once said, in MLS, every year is a rebuild. You're bringing in 10 new players every year.
And you can go from worst to first, like Colorado.
I know it seems like big, but I think 10 players is not really a rebuild, it's a retooling. I think when you get rid of half the team, more than half the team, that's a rebuild.
I think we've got enough tools on the team that we need a rebuild. Right, let's look at some more defensive things here.
Okay, so who else?
Right.
We've been talking about center backs.
Aaron Mond.
Yeah.
You've referenced it in the first part. I really like how he's played with Kendall all season.
Yep.
Last couple of weeks in particular, he's been good. Down in Portland, yesterday, I didn't really think he put a foot wrong. Maybe caught upfield for the first goal, but apart from that, not too much. Henry, to be frank, had 2 nightmare games against TFC, where he was found lacking.
Well, the first game, I think it was just the end of the game.
It wasn't as bad, but he was like the second game in particular.
Well, second game,
he was
but
right
who wasn't?
all over the park.
Who wasn't though? But I think the first, I didn't watch the second game, so I don't know. First game, I thought he had a fine game until the end. That one mistake at the end.
Yeah.
I don't think you can blame him. I think you can say 2 games he was horrible.
And although breaking the wrist is,
I think you're going back to your last year's thoughts of Henry. I think you need to interview him again so you get on.
Yeah, your favorite person.
Yeah.
The breaking the wrist is in one sense frustrating and disappointing. On the other sense, it does show how much he cares.
Yeah.
About his performance, and I think also the team.
Yeah.
And so,
but he does seem to be in some pain. I think he played through the pain on Wednesday.
No, he can play. I
shouldn't.
talked to him yesterday. He can play. He's ready to go. No, he'll be fine.
Jose Aja is 2 weeks away from coming back from his quad strain.
Okay.
For me, Mond and Waston deserve the next few games. And then, as long as Mond doesn't put a foot wrong, Mond is my starter. But then you've got 2 big money guys not starting.
Yeah. And what about Roberto?
Yeah. Do we think we will see Dominguez this year? I saw him yesterday in the elevator. Doesn't speak much English, if any. That's always a positive thing.
Did he understand your Scottish?
I wasn't speaking to him. Someone else was trying
but
to.
But if he's playing with Kendall, they should be able to communicate.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, if the season's lost by that point, I don't see any harm in chucking him in just to see what he can do.
Well,
I did hear, though, that his trial did not go fantastic, but yet we still are brought him in to have a look.
Because he's only on a MLS deal to the end of the season.
Yeah, to the end of the season with options after that.
Yeah.
And Robbo's comments, they weren't exactly like glowing off him. It's like, we'll see what he can do. And it's a
depth signing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a no-risk signing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's sorry. I know I hate to go back to the coaching thing, but that's the thing. If the football committee's intention is to not bring back Carl Robinson,
they're not going to give somebody a 2-year deal.
No, but they should.
This is an
example. Yeah, you can't be bringing in players.
No. But seriously, if they're not, they should bring in someone for the end of the season to get their own evaluation.
That was what I was thinking, but at the same time, it depends who it is.
Yeah.
Now,
and as long as he doesn't ask for like first class seats in the plane,
should be fine.
When he renegotiates the contract in the year, he should be fine.
For me, we talked about this early in the season, got us in a lot of trouble with the coaching staff, but we'll talk about it again. If Robbo goes, Mark DeSantos, clear favourite for us. Well, for me, Zach's made a face.
I really like Mark DeSantos personally. I know a lot of people here can't get over 2009.
I can.
Even though I think
at this point,
Mark DeSantos is the kind of guy, I think in his opening press conference he would address it. Because every time I see him, he addresses it.
I had a great chat with him when he was here when LA were visiting.
Yeah, same.
He's a winner. Mark Weber backs him as well.
Yeah.
But he has done well wherever he's gone, and he's now had a year to learn MLS under Bob Bradley.
Yeah. And he
And LAFC are doing well.
And he knows how to deal with not spending on players from being in Ottawa. He knows how to deal with the megalomaniac in Joey Saputo in Montreal. So if he chooses to come to Vancouver, he knows what he's getting into.
Yeah, it's whether he would choose that. And if he does choose, he's not coming here until LA's season is finished.
Oh, right. That's
the thing.
That's right. There you go.
So then you're looking at another one we threw out there, Mike Petke. He's not going to come until the season's finished.
He's an arse. Oh, no, their season's not done.
I mean, who's
they won.
Who's free just now with MLS experience that isn't doing anything? Caleb Porter.
No, I can't see that.
Don't do that.
I can't see that.
Don't do that.
Steve won't shake his hand.
No, I've never had any issues with Caleb Porter after a game.
Caleb Porter's actually...
he's fun to chat to.
Yeah, the dealings I've had with Caleb Porter, he has been...
It could extend the show, though.
Yeah. I might have to delete some of our previous episodes where I've not said
when
nice
you
things
sent me
about
down there for... What was the cup? Was the cup match?
I don't know. I sent you down for the Bayern game as well.
No, last year for the cup match.
The Seattle-Portland cup game, yeah.
He was just like, and I think I might have wore like a curve hat or something. He was just like, oh yeah, your boy Darren's here coming, like in the locker room, and he was just like, oh yeah, come, like, and he was very gracious with his time, and he was very generous with his words about his players.
It's a little bit odd he hasn't got another role. I still think he's holding out for this US job, but...
Was the Bayern game you sent him down and you had to get the disposable camera to show that he was a photographer or something?
No. You had to get rid of the disposable camera.
No, I don't have a disposable camera. That's funny. I had a DSLR or whatever they call this thing.
Yeah. Right, let's get back to this because we're losing this section.
For the game, I was in with Shikaria. That's where I was.
Right, back to the Whitecaps defence. Brett Levi's. He's done well against Portland and New York in the last two games.
Just to get
for
the
the
90
time
minutes.
that he's played, yeah. He cannot go a full game.
And at the there was a minute mark. Remember I told you
it was about 55th minute.
Yeah,
someone threw something on for him to drink.
Yeah, or it was like one of those capsules or whatever. He unscrewed something, took it, and then screwed it back on, threw it back. Energy drink or something like that. It was.
Now,
but I think it was more
better than Beaver Buzz.
I think it was more rehydration or something like that.
We love Brett Levi.
Oh yeah,
we want him to do well.
Yes.
I have a lot of time for him personally, never mind as a player. Yeah. He's just such a nice guy.
Swapped kits with Tim Parker.
But
yeah, I saw that.
But you cannot have a player that has to get subbed off before the end of every game, especially when it's a left back, because then you're forced to be making a defensive substitution. Yesterday we'd already had to make a halftime substitution in a DM spot. Mm-hmm. It just affects what you can do with the team. And it's just, you can't have that. He needs to sort this out, whatever it is, if he can.
Steve's really happy that Juarez had to get some.
I'm just glad Tiber came on.
Yeah. You're right. Hopefully something. I mean,
Robbo made comments yesterday that he basically indicated he was sick of it.
Is our sports science expert going to call on the show? No, seriously, like something must be able to be done about it. If it's an electrolyte issue or like something has to be done.
Well, we saw Rick Celebrini yesterday. Yeah, he was serving fries and burgers in the press box. He really was.
That's his going away volunteer hours.
I think that must be, yeah.
But no, to be fair to him, the Portland thing was not a cramp. The Portland thing was...
No, he was whacked in the ribs, but or shoulder, or whatever it was.
I think ribs, yeah.
Right, how much of this defensive disaster then is down to Tim Parker going? Almus said after the game that he's a key part to the success of New York.
Armis.
Harris?
Armis.
Oh, Armis, sorry. Yeah.
New York's given up 25 goals in 24 games, 8 clean sheets, whatever they are. Best record in the league defensively. Seattle's pretty close. Is it all down to Tim Parker?
No, I think you got Robles in the back there. You have a player like he's teaming up with Aaron Long, who a lot of people were high on before the season even started.
Well, it's a Whitecaps downfall down to Tim Parker going. Surely can't be just one guy going and it all falls to bits.
I don't think so. I've never had an issue with most of the center backs. My big issue has always been the midfield hasn't really supported the back line as well. Yeah. Because remember the early part of the season, it was all the goals from distance where the central midfield should be.
Okay, so obviously Tim Parker going fully filled that hole, and it's not even filling the hole. It's more the chemistry and
they're patching the hole up. They haven't filled it.
The connectedness amongst the back line, which I think also ties into having a new keeper. And if I think you've said before too, new center defensive midfield partnerships that haven't really fully worked out. Yeah. However, the Tim Parker thing, which I don't think we've talked about on the show. Can I so one of the things that I've heard from, not from Tim himself, because someone made a joke about this yesterday about, like Tim Parker has a great and I think Robbo said even publicly, like he has a good relationship with Tim Parker, like he does with most of his former players.
He was chatting with them after the game outside the locker room.
One of the things I've heard from people who are close to Tim Parker is how saddened and disappointed he was at how things were handled at the end of his time in Vancouver. And basically what I was told...
Was that because I got his last interview as a Whitecap?
No.
That would disappoint anyone.
No. What I was told was basically the information that was being put out was not accurate information.
Yeah.
And was...
and we bought into it.
And was being put out, basically was falsely being represented by people within the Whitecaps to make him look like he was money hungry, and so the fans would turn on him, so it would make things go easier.
He's done a few interviews this week stating that he did not want to leave.
He did not want to leave,
and he thought he would be in Vancouver for years.
Which I've also
which I thought he would be as well. I thought you would have built the team around him. Future captain.
And so I think people, because a lot of people I've listened to and talked to, they say, oh, yeah, well, he just wanted too much money. He didn't need to be here. And what I've been told is that was a narrative pushed by the Whitecaps front office as hard as they could so they could get people on side for the trade.
But he was not forced out, though. Robbo told me that on Friday when I asked.
No, and I personally don't think that was Robbo, but I don't know that. I don't know that. I haven't asked him that, but I think so many people being okay with Tim Parker being gone, I think they were not told the truth about all the things that were happening in the background when those things were trying to be represented in the media.
Well, it's certainly been hard to fill a big ginger hole. We've tried our best in this show, and Steve headed along to the New York locker room to have a chat with Tim Parker with a few other people yesterday. So let's bring that for you now.
So Tim, obviously, a game where it was kind of up and down. You thought you had good momentum, and then you lost it, and you gained it. And how did the game feel for you?
Yeah, kind of like that. I think on the road it's hard to get momentum. We got a good goal early, and we were able to take advantage of I think the most of the first half. And they got a goal on a set piece, and that's kind of how things go sometimes. And you got to ride out the momentum train. Was
it weird being back in BC Place and wearing red instead of white or blue?
Yeah, it was. Walking into the stadium was a little bit weird for me, but it was good to be back.
How do you feel like obviously it's the 5 games coming up in 14 days. You got a point at the end of this one. Was that important considering you're facing a couple rivals in the upcoming week?
Yeah, very. Obviously to get a point in the last couple minutes like we did is very important just for the whole kind of way our season's going to play out. I think we're pushing for that Supporters Shield race, and getting a point here instead of not walking away with anything is big.
And how is it? It's your first year in New York, but you're in New York City's only been here for a couple of years. But how is that rivalry going, and is it getting amped up?
Yeah, you can feel it. I think it's intense, and you can feel it, and the fans completely buy into it. So it's something that we take seriously as a club.
Now, obviously, you've been in MLS for 4 years, and you still have the rest of the season. But when coming into the off season, is it with the exposure in New York, are you kind of looking at other options in Europe? Obviously, staying in New York would be great because you're with your family and friends and everything like that. But there's obviously soccer, they want to move on to Europe. Does that kind of inkle into your thoughts or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, like the way it's going right now in New York, I'm really happy in New York. And if Europe ever came knocking, I think it's every player's dream. But for me at the moment, I'm just really happy to be in New York and continue the season here.
Tim, what did you make of the crowd reception during the starting lineups? They obviously cheered you. Was that something you were thinking about coming into this game here?
Yeah, you put it in my head like a week ago. So, no, I mean, it was nice. It was definitely really nice to hear.
And what about Kendall Waston? Obviously, you were the big talk in this match, but he obviously shot and beat you to a couple of headers there.
Yeah, I mean, no, Kendall, he's always been great in the air. I mean, we had the idea that he was going to be able to, that they were going to be able to hurt us on set pieces, and we weren't able to take care of that tonight.
What's the focus for the team going back to New York? You've got the big derby match coming up now.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of matches in the next couple of days, so we got to try to get as many points as we can.
Did you feel like you were pushed down a bit on the second goal by Waston?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, yeah.
Is this something you expect normally from him? Is it happening in training too? Over the
No, I mean, look, Kendall's going to do whatever he can to get to the ball. Was I pushed down? Yeah, but I mean, I didn't get the foul, so it's a goal for him.
What does it say about the character of your team? You go down to 10 men, but then you find a way to score a late equaliser.
Huge. You know, we're building something special. You know, I think everyone in the locker room can feel that this team kind of has character and can fight until the end, and we're never going to say die. So I think that's important, especially on a cross-continent trip like this one is, to fight until the 90th minute and get that equalizer is big.
There's been some debate about the trade. Who do you think got the better of the trade? Between you guys.
New York. Easy. They got the redhead.
Thanks, Tim.
Classy guy, Tim Parker.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. That was mentioned a lot in that interview.
I don't know. Sometimes a word gets in my head and I just repeat it regularly. That was so
I couldn't even cut it out because you just went so
If you
fast
give it to me,
into-
I would have spent all the time cutting it out.
Anyway, yeah, Tim Parker there. It has been a loss on the back line not having him.
I think it makes a difference, but I don't think it's the major difference.
I do think it, as
Tim
you said,
Parker
it
was-
comes down to the midfielders
Yeah.
just not doing their job.
I think because Tim Parker was here 2 years ago where their defense wasn't very good as
Yes.
well. So I
Yeah.
don't think it makes a major difference, but I do think there is a slight, obviously, offset.
It's hard not to see it, though. It's one of the
yeah, I
significant
mean, it's
factors.
the easy thing to look at, but it isn't. It really isn't that a
I
massive
think the
thing.
keeper and the DMs
are the issue.
Right, let's just finish this segment off. We'll keep our Southsiders chat to the next little bit. If we're looking at next season, what defensive positions get brought in for starters? For like, what starters are going to get brought in that's going to...
Are you talking about the back line?
Yeah, just a...
I feel that unless they really want to spend a lot of money, and I don't think they will, I think they keep their fullbacks.
Yeah.
If Waston stays, then they're probably looking at another center back, and if it depends on if Marinovic stays or not.
Yeah.
If he does stay, would you be happy with him?
I'd be fine with him.
So you would just bring in one centre back, and you think that will cure the defensive?
No, but the defensive woes, like I said, is the central midfield, and that's where I want to revamp everything.
Okay.
I want to in center midfield. I want to see Dave Norman play more.
Eventually, yeah. I want to be in the. I want him to be in the rotation, but
I'd like him to play as well. I don't think that's going to be the answer to all our problems.
No, I think they need a high end. Because the thing is, sometimes the best defense is if you have possession, and if you have a solid central midfield.
The best defense is attack.
Attack, yeah. So if you are possessing the ball, you're giving less options for the other team to get at you, and that'll reduce the chances they get. So I think you need that.
Well, you have to have possession to do that.
I know. That's why you need to maybe revamp
possession.
your central midfield so you're not putting so much pressure on the back line.
And a whole change of philosophy of how the team plays.
Yeah.
I would bring in new centre-back and 2 new full-backs as starters. Have Jake,
Starting full-backs.
Yep, have Jake and Marcel pushing them, maybe gaining the starting thing, but I just feel we need change.
That's cost too much
And
money.
keeper?
If Stefan stays, I'm happy with Stefan.
Okay.
For now, but I'd like a stronger backup challenging him. So we'll see what happens.
It was Brian Rowe. Is it 1 year or 2 year?
He's gone, I think, yeah. Anyway.
Richie's back.
Spencer. Oh. It's the ice cream man! It's the ice cream man! And you know who likes ice cream? Tim
Steve?
Parker. So, Tim, yeah, it's a hot day. You decide to get some ice cream. What would be your ice cream flavour of choice, or are you more a froyo kind of guy?
Dairy Queen kind of guy. Probably a Blizzard. Yeah, and it would have to be with Reese's peanut butter cups.
That's great. Thanks so much.
Ice cream man, ring your bell, play the music I've learned to love so well. Ice cream man, ring your chimes in the afternoon so fine.
Hi, I'm Jake Nowinski, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio. What was that music, Steve?
Waiting on the Summer by VHS Collection.
I'm waiting for the fall.
I'm still waiting for the summer because really, I'm just want the smoke out of here.
I gave my VHS collection to a youth organization that they use to make into that they paint on with youth and make.
They paint on the youth?
No, they paint on the VHS tapes and make a mosaic.
Oh, I've got some VHS tapes I could give them.
Okay.
They'll like it.
No, they don't watch them. They just they use the physical tape as a.
Oh, that's a good thing that they don't watch it. That's a good thing they won't watch it because it might not be appropriate for kids.
Educational for teenage boys. Anyway, right. What will we talk about now? Oh, I know. The Southsiders. We haven't talked about their issues on the show. The reason for that being, we wanted to give them a couple of weeks to dig themselves out of the hole that they've put themselves into. I was under the impression that would be forthcoming. It hasn't been. And for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, because there are a lot of folk that listen to this from out with Vancouver, a couple of weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago, I think we're possibly approaching.
Yeah.
Southsiders Board issued a statement condemning Kendall Waston for not honouring the Pride celebrations that the Whitecaps had. Disrespecting it, they said, for having his armband under his sleeve. Numerous photos were then produced showing that his armband is under his sleeve a lot of the time. He was wearing the Pride numbers. A photo was dug out from 2 years ago where Kendall was one of 3 Whitecaps players that were not wearing the Pride scarf. Nobody actually asked Kendall why. Nobody asked Kendall about the situation of why his armband was under his sleeve. And the initial Southsider statement as well said they had contacted the club about it, but from speaking to the club, that is stretching the truth vastly. An inquiry was made about whether the numbers were mandatory, but nothing was asked about Kendall's stuff. So that was the initial statement. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of outrage. Some of it went over the top. Some of it really boiled over. Members of the Southsiders Board received threats. Not acceptable at all. It's like,
you know what?
Personal.
That's whatever the Southsiders, and obviously we have issues with what the Southsiders said. What those things you're talking about, those are worse than what they said.
Don't cross the line is the phrase that was brought up a lot, and it's like a lot of the comments crossed the line.
100%.
Totally unacceptable. Totally condemn them.
Because first of all, this is just football or soccer, whatever you want to call it.
That's the whole thing.
No big deal.
And what we want to stress before we go any further in this is a lot of you are angry. We're going to talk about this. Some of you may feel angry after listening to this. The way to deal with this will come to at the end. The way to not deal with this is to personally abuse members of the Southsiders Board.
Or us.
We can take abuse.
Or anybody that has an opinion.
Yeah.
Just because they have an opinion doesn't mean...
Right, well,
doesn't mean you're right or wrong.
I am big.
It's just an opinion.
I'm big on free speech and freedom of expression. But it seems to be a lot of people, if you don't agree with what their version is, you can't have free speech or freedom of expression. So just because you don't agree with someone does not give you a right to abuse somebody online. It also does not give you the right to accuse people of something that you've got no proof on either. And that is basically what happened with the Southsiders. So we're going to talk about this for a little bit just now. I do not want anyone taking what we're saying as a mandate to then go and abuse the board. That is important to stress. Things have come to a head this evening in that long-time Southsider, friend of the show, friend of all of ours personally, Peter Zimmerman has resigned as Vice President of the Southsiders.
And Secretary.
And Secretary as well. Now, Peter has been President in previous years.
Yep, multiple times.
Was kind of ousted in a vote this year as President, but became Vice President. We won't go into that. I want to read you a little bit from Peter's resignation letter that appeared online this evening. He says, "The manner in which the Executive Board conducted themselves since the release of the Pride March 2018 statement dated August 1st, there we go, it was August 1st, so it's 18 days ago now, regardless of the statement's purpose, how they've acted recently has been inexcusable. The accountability and transparency shown, of course, in the course of the past 2 weeks has been disheartening. I am neither qualified nor have been elected to navigate and address controversial social issues, especially not in this way. The social media presence and the membership communication during one of the most important stretches of the Whitecaps season has been non-existent. This is simply unacceptable. Since the release, I have put in my best effort to open dialogue, acknowledge, address and correct mistakes made related to this statement, the release of which I had been part of myself. I failed. I want to apologise publicly to Kendall Waston for accusing him of wrongdoing without first seeking personal contact with him to provide means of responding to the accusation. And there's more which we won't go into. Now, there's a number of issues that I think we want to address in this. And we hadn't because, I didn't want to give it more publicity. And it was good that the press didn't pick up on it. A lot of the press contacted the Whitecaps, got the Whitecaps side of the story and decided not to touch it. Because frankly, any media that did do this, all they're opening themselves up for is social comments on both sides. You're going to have people that back the statement and back them, no matter what side they take. Folk will back it, folk will be against what side they take. So a lot of the papers steered away from it. It was also good because it didn't give it more publicity, which meant that it died a little bit. But it can't just die and go away. The Southsiders Executive Board cannot sweep this under the carpet. It has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed with the members. And Zach, you're still a member of the Southsiders.
Yeah.
I stopped being a member a couple of years ago. I didn't like the direction the group was going. Steve, you've been a member in the past as well. Yes. I've served on the board before. Just your initial thoughts on this, Zach. I've talked a lot here to kick this segment off.
Yeah, well, a lot could be said. I think for me, I want to talk about a couple of the issues. For me, the concern that was raised about the captain not celebrating the Pride event, the Pride match in the way that they felt was appropriate was a little bit concerning for me, because Kendall Waston has a worldview, and it's a worldview that is different, that doesn't celebrate pride, but is respectful of all people, no matter who they are, no matter how they've chosen.
Yeah, he's never come out and disrespected that community.
No matter who they are, no matter how, whatever their worldview is respectful that people will have different worldviews. And he himself has supported causes that are with his worldview, but he has never come out and said, in my opinion, said disrespectful things toward the Pride community or the community around Pride. And so I think you have to. And I've read comments about this from various people. Like, you can't force someone to celebrate something.
Yeah,
just because
of expression.
Well, just because they play on your sports team.
Yeah. And certainly not then ask. Oh, it felt like they were saying we can make this all go away if you make a little monetary donation. That crossed the line for me. That was just unacceptable.
So that was my one concern is here you're trying to make someone who has a different worldview say that they celebrate your worldview, which is different than theirs, and so that was a little bit concerning. In saying that, though, I do want to say I can understand how people in the LGBTQ community might be frustrated that someone wouldn't celebrate with them, because I can't sit here and say I know what it's like to be a part of that community and the way that society has changed to become more accepting from not being accepting.
Yeah.
So I can't sit here and say, oh, just get over it or don't have those feelings. I would never say that to anyone.
No, not at all.
I can't imagine the difficulties that people have gone through with saying, this is who I am, and I don't feel accepted. So
we should point out that the statement was issued because of some complaints from Southsiders members that are part of that community.
Yes.
So they did feel strongly enough and upset enough to make the initial complaint.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah.
It's then how the board reacted to
it
it and handled it.
My big issue was that they just didn't talk to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's my biggest issue. And it was just a straight accusation that guilty. You didn't wear it over your. You didn't wear the captain's armband over your sleeve.
It seems to be a modern day thing, though, in that you can accuse people of something, and it's up to them to prove their innocence now.
Yeah.
And everyone just assumes that folk are guilty.
Isn't that how the courts work in France, I think? But no, seriously, from a group of people who publicly and privately continually say how disappointed they are at their connection with the players and the coaches and the club, and then to have a concern with one of them and to not go to them, which for me, like right away, I verify. I went to Kendall and said, "Hey, has anyone talked to you about this?" And he said, "No one's talked to me about that." The PR guy told me has just told me about what's going on or whatever. So the fact that if you have a concern with someone in everyday life, do you go and talk to them, or do you go on social media? Do you go on Twitter and say, "I have a problem with so and so because of X, Y, or Z"?
The problem is most people do it on Twitter now, and they don't go talk to the person.
But that's obviously not how you handle relationships, and especially relationships that you claim to care so much about and long for to deepen. Like this was so backwards to what they claim that they want to be about.
Yeah.
But I will point out for fairness as well, because somebody did, Chris Corrigan mentioned this tonight, we haven't reached out to the Southsiders board to come and give us a statement.
I immediately, within a day of the statement, I reached out to Peter and I said, "Peter, what's going on? Like, what's the deal?" And so I didn't reach out to every single board member, but as a member, I felt this is a person I'm closest to. I'll connect with them, and so he shared what he could, and some of his feelings, some of his thoughts, and talked about, some of the things that he then put on. There was a follow-up statement of, "Hey, we're having an emergency meeting. We have another regular meeting coming," and all that kind of stuff.
I think that was the problem, is that folk expected things to come out of that emergency meeting, which is why we haven't addressed it till now as well.
Yeah.
Some of the issues that I have with it, though, is, apart from how it was all handled and things that's already been mentioned, so much good work had been done at the Southsiders Town Hall just weeks before. Building bridges, the club talked about, they saw that as a new start. And then whether you're cynical about whether they meant that or not, it felt you left that town hall meeting, things were moving forward in a really good way. This has burned so many bridges and set supporters' relations, and not just Southsiders, possibly other groups as well. It's pushed it so far back. You notice the players are not going anywhere near the south side to celebrate after the goals now at BC Place. That is not coincidental. Good luck trying to get players to come to any events now, because I think to a man, going back to Stuart Kerr's tweet of a united locker room, they're certainly united over this. And what is a supporters group? That is the other thing. Do you get a supporters group that goes all political? And I think that's now what Southsiders members have to decide. Do they want the Southsiders to be St. Pauli-esque, have political mandates and speak up and do all this? Or do you want it to be about the football? For me, it should be about the football first. I'm not saying dismiss all this. I'm not saying don't have the anti-racism things, don't celebrate all the pride things. That's modern life. It's great. You look at how well the Whitecaps had done for that Pride night. They pushed the boat out more than other clubs that I've seen do. And they got a lot of abuse online from it. The Instagram comments, which I pointed out to you, were horrendous from the bigots out there. But the Whitecaps went ahead and they did it. And it was a great night. Everyone celebrated it. Talking to people that I know, fans that are gay and that were at the match, they loved it and they loved what the Whitecaps were doing. This did more damage to that. And it's going to make the Whitecaps think, why do we bother doing this when this is what then comes out of it?
Yeah. And the thing is there's been so many other times where if you wanted to make a statement, you could have. Last year, the Shane Williams thing.
Yeah.
The
something that somebody was actually then taken to court over.
Yeah. The Academy.
Not found guilty, though, with no stress.
The Academy thing.
Yes.
Again, some of you can't talk. You can out.
And then,
the minors, you can't talk
about. You could issue a statement saying what is
if
happening
you wanted
on the youth side.
this is not right.
Yeah.
And then to chair a thing, earlier this year.
Oh, yeah.
Which he was suspended for.
Yeah.
He got Juarez. There was no statement there.
No.
There was a little bit of a mention.
When did we come to issuing statements
No, I know,
for
that's-
stuff as well?
that's
That's
what
the thing
that's
as
what I
well.
don't get.
Well, yeah, I mean, traditionally supporters in Europe, their statements are made in the stadium.
Yes.
So if you have I watch a lot of Bayern. So when Bayern they have a problem, you'll see the banners unfurled. Ticket prices are
Yeah.
not what they should be. The Champions League tickets away in England are not what they should be. Or when they have an issue with the board, they'll unfurl banners that express their frustrations or their concerns. That's kind of what it looks like around the world. You bring up a good question about is this should a group like this be about the actual support, or should they be something else? I think what you were saying earlier, Michael, in terms of your perspective on the direction things were going, is the thing is the South Side has over the years become basically a social club for a group of people. Right, it's become their primary social network.
And you have a lot of members who also don't want to be active apart from on match day.
Right.
They just want the scarf and to be part of it.
Right. But for a number of people, it's become their community of friends, their primary community of friends.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
I've spoke before about my good friends, like you two guys. I met you through the Southsiders initially, John Knox, lots of guys.
Chris Deal?
Yeah. An English person I like.
But then the thing is, what becomes the focus? Our social gatherings, the things we are passionate about outside of the football, or the football itself?
Yeah.
And that is a fair question. And I think you hear some of the frustration in the letter you read from Peter over some of the emphasis not being on the support in the stadium.
I feel it could be a turning point for the group. And for any Southsiders listening to this, maybe
It might have turned off by now.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit off me no longer being a member, saying what I'm about to say. But if you're not happy with the direction the group is going, it's the members that have the power to change it. You can force an EGM, an extraordinary general meeting, to get this done now ahead of the AGM. You can put people up to stand for the board. The problem with that is people don't want to put the work in, and it's a hell of a lot of work. All of these people are volunteers. They've got themselves into a mess now that none of them are really... They're not experienced enough to get out of it. It's gone on too long. They've not issued a statement either way addressing the members' concerns and the public outrage, which I know they don't have to really answer to people that aren't members, but a lot of members have expressed concerns. It's gone too long now. They can't get out of this hole in any way of saving face.
This will have ramifications.
Yeah. And if you're not happy with it, don't abuse the people that are given their time. They didn't issue this statement to cause a big kerfuffle. That's probably not a great word. Kerfuffle is a bit too light.
Well, for one individual maybe they did, but no, you're right.
Yeah, they didn't expect this. So don't abuse them. They're trying to fix it. If you want to make your point, you get rid of these elected officials at the next meeting, or you force an EGM and you get them to stand down now.
Yeah.
That's the way forward.
And
don't abuse them online.
But you need people to step up.
That is the thing as well.
Yeah.
If you want this group to be what it can be, what it used to be, the march, there was about 30 people in the march yesterday.
Well,
I know a lot of them aren't really wanting to march from that area. That has been a bit of an issue.
Well,
but this year in general, it's been way down.
Now we're getting into a style of support thing. I mean, for me, the march shouldn't be every game. It should be on special occasions, because when you do 18 or 19 a year, it loses its luster.
People get tired of walking.
Yeah. Well, we'll just finish this section off by saying, if any of the Southsiders board want to come on the show, give their point of view, more than happy to do so. You know where we are? Give us a call. Anyway, let's move on now. Maybe not a smooth transition. It's Football Violence Awareness Month here on AFTN. It's Wavelength time, everybody. Yeah, we're going to wrap up this segment with a song from 1987. It's a group called Section 5, and it's called Every Saturday.
You can slag us down in the papers, you can slag us down on the news. But if you think you'll ever stop us, you must be a bunch of fools. It's been going on far too long, on every Saturday. The boys who rule the terraces will fight at home all the way. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday. Now I just come from everywhere. Don't bother us, cause we don't care. We know you can never win, cause what makes us fight so pride within. Your best bet to surrender now. You can't stop us, you don't know how. On coast to coast, on Saturday, we'll fight at home all the way. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday. You can slag us down in the papers, you can slag us down on the news. But if you think you'll ever stop us, you must be a bunch of fools. It's been going on far too long, on every Saturday. The boys who rule the terraces will fight at home all the way. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday. They'll appear every Saturday, fight for the fight home and away. They'll appear every Saturday.
Hey, it's Marco Bustos. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back. We're in the last segment of this week's AFTN Soccer Show. Probably won't surprise anyone. We're probably going to overrun, but there we go.
What happens?
So in this part, we're going to have a quick roundup of the MLS West and then BC Soccer Web headlines and then call it a night. So the MLS West. Caps started the week in 8th, finished the week in 8th. There's basically 8 teams fighting for the 6 playoff spots. The other ones seem out of it. Right now, the Caps are 3 points back of LA Galaxy, who are 5th, and 3 points back of the Timbers, who are in 6th.
And both of them did not do too well.
No. But those teams also have more wins and better goal difference than the Whitecaps, so it kind of adds an extra point into proceedings as well.
Yeah, good thing they got that point.
Portland have 2 games in hand. Galaxy have played 1 more. And then in 4th spot, on 38 points, which is 4 ahead of the Caps, is RSL. They've also played 1 more game. the top three are Dallas, Kansas City, LAFC. I know you're not sure about LAFC, but I feel those three too far ahead for the Caps to catch. I think they pretty much should be.
Yeah, but LAC was playing at home, so I think they were very good at home. I don't know how many road games they have, but
I can't see us catching them.
No, not catch them, but they could drop a little bit.
Yeah.
In the stage.
Let's look at some of the games then from this weekend. Seattle 5, LA Galaxy 0.
Yep.
Hammering. Absolute hammering. No Zlatan. Doesn't want to play in the turf.
But they had enough players.
Was very critical of the Portland turf.
Didn't none of their DPs travel or something?
They brought a very weak squad north, which was very surprising.
Yeah.
I don't get that. I can't remember who tweeted it out. I wish I could remember. I really back what this person said. MLS need to mandate that DPs don't pull out just because of turf. Of course, you'll get other reasons, and there'll be other ways that they won't.
Well, just
travel,
like they did with the All-Star game.
Yeah,
they had Kamara, they had Leggett, Cole played, although I think that probably was a bad thing. Carrasco played, so
he's got an own goal. So
yeah.
So it seems like they had a decent.
They had a strong team.
Yeah.
But
Carrasco was probably still playing for the Flanders.
That win, it moved Seattle temporarily into the playoff spots for the first time all season. But they are flying. They're unbeaten in 9, 6 straight wins, 3 of those with that mysterious clean sheets thing. Galaxy are now winless in 4. 2 of those, though, have been draws.
Yeah.
2 massive games coming up for these teams this coming weekend. It's the LA Derby and it's the Cascadian Derby that doesn't involve us. So, interesting.
And Portland's on a 3-game losing streak too, I think.
Yeah.
The
Timbers,
started it.
yeah, the Timbers are on a new streak thanks to us.
Yeah.
3 straight losses now.
Outscored
plummeting down the table.
Outscored 9-2 in those 3 games.
Yeah, they're now sitting in 6th. 2 first-half goals from Diego Rubio and my man Johnny Russell getting a third in the 89th.
I think I said it last week's show, right? Watch out for Kansas City.
Oh yeah. I've been saying it for weeks now.
Namath coming in, man.
Yeah.
They're my preseason pick.
3
for the
straight
MLS
wins
Cup.
now for KC. Houston and RSL. Now, this was the nightmare result of the weekend.
And
for the
it
Caps.
could have been all right, except late. It
was looking great.
Yeah.
Houston getting into stoppage time. They're 1-0 up at home.
It was like the 100th minute?
Yeah, well, that was the winner, yeah. Boniek Garcia had the 36th minute. Looked like the match winner. Then 2 goals in stoppage time from Albert Rusniak.
Yeah.
First one in the but a 93rd minute cracker. Got the ball on the edge of the box, took a lovely step inside and then fired it home. 1-1.
And that would have been fine too.
Yeah. But they had the urgency. Right away they grabbed the ball. They sensed they could do more. And they got it in the 100th minute. But it was a little bit controversial for me. Did Saucedo run into Beasley? Beasley's knee was out. But I think Saucedo knew he was kind of on the way down as he ran into him.
Yeah.
But he did make contact.
Yeah, there was contact, but he did definitely help the contact along, I think.
But Rusnak then buried that penalty in the 100th minute, tying it with Kaká for the latest goal in MLS history.
Kaká.
Gutting result.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
RSL, they've only had 1 defeat in the last 6. Only 2 wins in that, but
yeah, they're getting points.
They're still getting the points.
They're on the Robbo plan.
If you get one, if you get one more point than you start the weekend with, that's a plus. But they're up to 4th.
Yeah, Dallas, they were on a 2-game losing streak, but they rebounded. Luckily, they played Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota's wheels totally come off now, so we don't have to worry about them.
Their new number 10 actually really ran the play in that one. I can't remember his name. The one they acquired to replace Diaz. I don't remember his name. Sorry, can't say it. But he's essentially ran the play and they scored 2 goals.
Figueroa and Barrios got
aren't
the
they all
goals.
10s in Dallas for their diving skills?
I'll find out.
Today's match, LAFC, 2-0 winners over Colorado. LAFC had been winless in 5, but back-to-back wins now. So they've kind of turned a little bit of a corner maybe. Lee Nguyen, Diego Rossi, second half goals.
Former Whitecap Lee Nguyen.
Yeah, 5 matches in 15 days for LAFC, and it's like Red Bulls as well has got that. The schedule's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You should not be having teams playing that many games in such a short period of time. I know there was the World Cup break, but it's ridiculous. extend the season or something.
Well, you got. We talk about the Red Bulls. They have 5 games in 14 days. So this was their first of.
Steve, how do you pronounce that?
I don't know. That's why I passed it to you.
Let's have a look.
It's Pablo something.
Pablito. Let's call him Pablito.
Yeah. So this mysterious Dallas guy, Pablo. It's Pablo Aranguiz. Aranguiz.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you did so well there. Your confidence was so high there.
I was excited with Pablo.
I had Pablo. That wasn't an issue.
Pablito.
No, but he I saw the highlights. He really pushed the ball, and they were talking about him a lot in that thing.
And they had to go to VAR for their first goal.
Yeah.
But it was eventually given because Minnesota actually headed the ball to keep the guy onside.
Keep Boxall. So the last game of the weekend featuring a Western team, which we've kept to the end, was San Jose's 1-1 draw with TFC. The team that destroyed Vancouver, who we haven't talked about that match yet. I don't think we will this episode.
What?
Run out of time. But
Steve will give us a rundown next week.
The team that destroyed us on Wednesday could only take a point from the worst team in MLS.
That has half the points Vancouver has.
Yes. The team that we're about to go and play next.
We totally wore them
Twice,
down.
yes.
We wore them down, TFC, we did.
Wando gets the equaliser.
A dodgy goal.
Bono.
I don't know. That second, the chip and everything, that was a nice chip.
Oh, the finish was nice, but Bono spilled it.
He shouldn't have spilled it, but the thing is to stay on your run like that and then actually get the ball, chip it over at that pace. I thought it was pretty good.
That's what a striker's supposed to do.
Just to do my
some strikers don't do that.
Just to do my almost weekly joke. I mean, Bono made the save, spilled it, tried to get it, but just couldn't find what he was looking for.
Yeah.
And then Wando with the equaliser. But yet the Caps are now playing San Jose.
Home and away.
They've got to take
or
6
away
points.
home.
I mean, I asked Robbo that. Is it
must-win.
2 must-win games? Started off by saying yeah and then kind of fudged it a little bit.
And they said we take 1 game at a time, Michael.
But you've got to take 6 points for that or the season is over.
Yeah, but like I said, they were in a position where they had even points. Like they basically made up for all their points they lost at home when they beat Portland.
Yeah.
So they were on even terms for home points.
Then they gave 2 more away.
They gave 2 more away, so they got to make those up now at this point.
Michael, it's not over if they lose both or they don't get all 6 points.
There's no way that
in the words of Lenny Kravitz, it ain't over till it's over.
There's a fat lady, but there's a fat lady outside here waiting to sing if they do not win these 2 games. Bella Emberg. She's outside.
Who's that?
Google it.
I don't think I want to.
Bella Emberg.
Steve?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Famous
British?
English comedian.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think she's probably dead now. What are you expecting from next week?
From San Jose, I think they got to go for it at this point. And they will.
They have nothing to lose.
They will be rested, so hopefully they're not as leggy as they normally have been.
By go for it, do you mean sit back, soak up pressure, and score on the counter?
Got to go for it. Got to attack. San Jose has a dodgy
it's
back
an away
line
match
more than them, and then they just
was New York, right? New York away?
Yeah.
What was the score in that?
2-2.
2-2. I think it'll be. I think
to be another game. 2-2.
I think I was talking about New York, Man City light away, but I think you're right. It was 2-2.
Anyway, come on, we've got to get the headlines.
Steve, as much as they'll be up for winning the match, I don't see the early stages being much different than absorbing and countering.
No, I'm not expecting much. San Jose, they're playing for contracts. They've nothing to lose. I think they're going to go for it, and I think they're going to win 2-1.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Will Joe Deasy tell us what he thinks this week?
Hopefully.
Okay.
Playoff chances quickly. Sportsclubstats.com. I have no idea who they are. I just googled it before I left, and that was the first page that came up. They've got the Whitecaps 22.9% chance of making the playoffs.
Is that higher than it was?
That's down 1%.
Oh, I think a different site had them below 20.
Yeah. RSL and the Galaxy are the nearest 2 teams at 54.4 and 54.5. And there's 4 teams over 90% to make the playoffs, including Portland because of their games in hand. And Seattle's at 75. So it's looking bleak as it is.
Yeah.
I don't
buy. You can't have that many teams over 90% when everything's so clustered together.
Quick thing before we get to headlines. Are the Whitecaps, I'm going to ask you this every week, are the Whitecaps going to make the playoffs?
I would say at this point, no.
I'm going to say no. Do you understand the word quick? Your wife does.
Oh boy, that was uncalled for.
Yes or no, Zach? Just give us an answer.
I hope for the coaching staff they make the playoffs.
Okay. Anyway, now it's time for BC Soccer Web Headlines. BC Soccer Web Headlines is brought to you in partnership with bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for local, national and international news, stories and links. Make it part of your daily routine, morning and night. Check out bcsoccerweb.com. What's been catching your eye in this site this week, Steve?
A couple follow-ups. Again, this is involving Nigeria and Ghana. FIFA gave at the beginning of the week.
Is that a new country? Nigeria and Ghana?
No, it's two separate countries. It's not Trinidad and Tobago. So Nigeria and both Nigeria and Ghana have been given deadlines. Nigeria has been given till Monday to figure out who to actually put in the actual elected president. I think it was Pinnock. And then Ghana has been given till 27th to reverse the court order that would dissolve their football association due to corruption. Later on, the Ghana politicians told FIFA that they're to dissolve the FA was the only option. But then they kind of came to an agreement by the end of the week where they're going to back off and agreed for a committee to run the FA instead of dissolving it. And FIFA has agreed to help them get rid of corruption and other criminal activity inside the FA. So, obviously, this is a constant in the headlines for us. What do you think it's going to be resolved, or it's a good step forward for Ghana?
I think they will resolve it because they know what the outcome's going to be if they don't.
Another follow-up that I just came out today, actually, and it'll probably be in BC Soccer Web Headlines tomorrow. The German FA president has apologized to Mesut Ozil for I think he still thinks that it was wrong for him to take the picture with the Turkish president, but he feels like he should have supported him more. He should have worded made his words more, kind of worded them differently so that people didn't attack him as much, and it didn't look like he was supporting these attacks on him.
Yeah, I got to read that one because I'm not sure if he's the one I'm thinking of who made like statements that were essentially racist.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it was the head of the DFB who did, or if it was one.
I don't know,
one
but
of the other guys.
This person said he didn't. He wished he didn't make Ozil feel like he was all alone in this.
Right.
He wished he supported him more, and he doesn't feel he was sole responsible for what happened with Germany in the World Cup. In new news, FIFA has defended, is defending bans for people giving false information that would tarnish reputations. Essentially, anybody who provides false information will be banned from football. So this is kind of...
So this is our last show?
No.
This is kind of like stopping people from whistleblowing or something like that without proper evidence to back them up, essentially. I think that's what they're trying to do.
So you need evidence for something. Okay.
And the word corruption, and a couple of things came up out of this too. The word corruption has been removed from their code of ethics. So
I know, it's like...
cases involving bribery, misappropriation of funds, match fixing must be prosecuted within 10 years. I think that's for all the older people that don't want to be prosecuted anymore. They said they changed their code of ethics to ensure more transparency, but they still won't allow the media to interview the ethics judge or the new prosecutor who were recently put in after Infantino abruptly removed the predecessors just last year. And there's been so much criticism. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe has said in a report they've scrutinized the FIFA governance, and they say Roas does not meet, he's the prosecutor, he doesn't meet the proper profile of a prosecutor. And the lawmakers are also saying that Infantino has removed independent officials who might have embarrassed him by doing their duty. So it's an interesting thing. They're kind of changing their whole thing. Everybody was always complaining about Blatter, but Infantino seems to be doing some shady stuff as well.
Yeah, they're just not going to shake this reputation, and stuff like this just makes it even more murky.
Yeah, another team that's been fined because of transfers is Atletico Madrid this week. They've been fined €46,000, basically using third-party influence on transfers. It's apparently
could that
from.
possibly
They didn't go into specifics, but they said it was from a couple years ago about a youth soccer player who was brought in through other means or whatever. There was very little specifics.
That amounts to drop in the ocean.
It is, especially if the player did well for
That's
them.
like MLS minimum wage contract.
Yeah. You should check out the site, also BC Soccer Web. I want to mention this. If you're looking to look at options for either online or on television, Bill Curry has done an excellent job of breaking down where you can get sites. Like if you want to watch South American football, if you want to watch specific leagues in Europe, he's got a good breakdown of where to go in order to find some stuff. So I really recommend that. I think it was on the Fridays.
Legally as well. We should point out.
legally. It was in Friday's headlines, just below the international block. In MLS and North American news, Mark Wahlberg apparently is interested in buying Columbus Crew SC. He recently just bought a business in Columbus. He's also opening his restaurant. I think it's called Wahlburgers.
Wahlburgers, yeah.
Yeah, and his quote was actually, what I would. My dear friend Bob Kraft, who is owner of the Patriots, and he owns the Revolution as well. I have a bunch of people who are involved. I think that might be something we need to discuss. So maybe he's somebody that can do it.
Yeah, I've heard he feels the Crew are a funky bunch.
Yeah, possibly. On the negative side, though, Austin Council has gone forward with approving a stadium for the MLS team. The vote passed 7-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really concerning for hashtag Save the Crew.
One council member actually from Austin went to Columbus and talked to the Save the Crew on her own dime, and found out to see what would happen if the team moved and everything. I think she voted against the bill.
You think?
I think so. Yeah. Omar Salgado, a little bit in the news now. The headline is he's pursuing law dreams while playing with Lights FC, which is great for him. The quote is interesting, and I just want to get your guys' thoughts on it. He says, "It didn't go well in Vancouver, but at the end of the day, it was my fault." He follows up and goes, "In Mexico, it was complicated. I played for probably the best team in the continent, and it was difficult minutes. Here, it's great. I really love the coaching staff. The setup is good." What do you guys think about that Vancouver statement? He's never mentioned that though before.
It's good to see him take ownership and admit it.
Yeah.
I think he has matured a lot since he's left.
Yeah.
I know. I've talked to a number of players who tried to speak truth and love into his life, and when he was younger, maybe
Terry
it was hard.
Dunfield.
It was hard. No, it was harder
On
for
the
him.
pitch.
It was harder for him to hear it. I think he's learned some of those lessons maybe the hard way, and you hope him well in this season in Las Vegas, and then next year he's going to be kind of like the poster boy for his hometown club there in El Paso. So you hope it goes well for him.
The hot dog industry will get a boost in Birmingham, Alabama, as Tommy Sowen has been named the Legion FC head coach.
Now, when I saw this, when you sent it, I was like, I cannot believe he is going to be coaching VMSL Division 2, 13th Legion. Turns out it's not them. I thought that was
USL.
too high a level for him.
It's in USL.
Yeah.
Steve
Surprised. He was still alive.
Steve Sander talked to some Canadian pros who are playing in different leagues and about what they're looking forward to in the CPL. Now, I'm not.
Yeah, this was interesting.
There is a lot more quotes in there, so I'm going to try to summarize their stuff that they were trying to say. For the most part, the players didn't seem to care where they had to play as long as the pay was right. And for the most part, for them to travel was very little concern. The range of acceptable pay, it ranged from $35,000 to $75,000. I think that depends on where the player's coming from. So if he's a lower USL player, he's probably on the $35,000. To a European player, maybe he's looking at $75,000. It was unanimous that they feel the contract should be guaranteed, especially for the season itself. Once the season starts, they don't want to be waived, and a lot of them didn't want to be traded as well without getting
consent.
Exactly.
The word is consent.
Yeah, and they feel that would attract bigger names as well. Most of them were okay with option deals. They weren't that concerned about that. Other concerns they had were salary cap numbers, because I think Dean Shellington, is that the Victoria owner?
Yes.
He mentioned in a thing he would like the cap to be lower than $1 million. So there were concerns about that. The standard of play, there were some questions about that. The facilities, for example, practice facilities, and how late they're leaving the player acquisitions, because a lot of them want to sign with them, but they need to sign something for right now in order to play.
Well,
the season's going to overlap a little bit.
The European season they could sign to.
Yeah, but how? This is the problem when your league calendars at a different time.
Yeah,
these clubs can't. These clubs I don't think can afford to sign players
way in advance.
Now,
yeah,
like they can sign them in January. In January, they can sign them probably. I would assume. But
because they're going to be ready to training camps and stuff like that.
But again, that will leave them less options for players.
Some other CPL news on the Clark Stadium in Edmonton. They are going to be some improvements, not the improvements that they're looking for. The seats can't be expanded in time, but temporary bleachers can be brought in. Tom Fath admitted that not all the requirements are likely to be met in first year. They are expected improvements in the washrooms and concessions. One of the council members mentioned that they could switch the downtown baseball stadium to a soccer stadium, and they mentioned how Portland did it.
Yeah, but
that might be an option, and it's downtown too, so you might get a better setting like in the centrally.
So a couple of things. One is I think part of the not being able to expand seats in time for April is like I don't think you have the window for construction in Edmonton is probably pretty small between now and when the winter hitting, and they probably can't get everything in order. And that's why it won't happen right away. In terms of the baseball stadium, you can't compare that baseball stadium to PG Park, right? Like Michael, you went back in the day when it was a baseball stadium, right?
Yeah,
and
I also saw the Whitecaps play PDL down in Tacoma in a baseball stadium. It was horrendous.
Exactly.
But can't they expand the seating and then change it around and stuff like that?
You can, but sight lines aren't great. But I mean, you see the New York City pitch at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, well, that's because they can't change that at all. That's got to be New York. That's the Yankees.
Yeah, but the pitch, it's the.
Well, no, they're saying make it a permanent soccer stadium, take baseball completely out of it.
Yeah,
that's what they're talking about.
You have to do major reservations to make it quality.
Like it won't be used for baseball at all.
But Reno actually do a good job. I will say they've done I've not either. I've seen it, and how they've configured it is really good.
Yeah, I think it's the individual one, and this one to me doesn't look great. Like they have to do a lot of work. The other thing is usually at baseball, for baseball, is the slope is very low, and for football you want slope.
Yeah, but they'll make those changes if they're going to change it to complete the soccer. Like there won't be baseball at all anymore. That's what.
No, I know, but I don't think they're going to change every seat. Of what's already there, right?
So last thing, one player who probably won't be playing in CPL in the near future because he's doing so well in Europe. Ottawa born and raised Jonathan David is making a huge start in his career in Belgium. Essentially, in his first, he's come on as a sub in 5 games, 66 minutes. He's gotten 5 goals. Unfortunately, today I think it was probably his most. He played the whole second half. He didn't score at all today, but team still won. But overall, great start for him. And I think he's only 18. I think he was at the Toulouse tournament, and he scored a goal there too. So
just reminds me of the Bell and Sebastian song, Jonathan David. So I have to dig that out.
Oh, cool.
You will.
Mm-hmm.
So that's headlines.
Thanks, Steve.
Awesome. Just a couple of things I'll just say just to wrap the show up. If you want some live soccer on Friday night, head up here to UBC, Thunderbird Stadium. Pre-season friendly. Usually I can't be bothered with such things, but UBC Thunderbirds, SFU Clan, always a fantastic game. Lot of great talent on display, ex-TSS Rovers guys. You got a lot of ex or former Whitecaps guys that's going to be playing with UBC this year as well. They've got Tommy Gardner, they've got Patrick Metcalf, they've got Caden Chung, they've got Caleb Clark. UBC are building a fantastic team this year.
It'll be a powerhouse. I think they're hosting the final too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they're hosting the Nationals, so that's going to be a fantastic year for them. Also to point out that Bella Emberg died in January this year. So just in case anyone was wanting to know, I did show Stephen Zach a picture of her there.
When you're listening on the podcast, that won't make any sense because Michael will have edited that part out.
What?
I hope so.
Just some tweets to get through. Anyway, Greg Petrie says, at Our Dumb World, any advice on how best to support the players while also hoping they lose all 9 games in such embarrassing fashion that it finally causes a complete firing of the front office? It would be greatly appreciated. I think there is going to be some people out there that are wanting the Caps to implode.
Yeah.
Someone did DM me after Saturday's match saying, burn them down, and it wasn't Seth Rollins.
Excellent. Although he did well today.
Thanks for spoiling that. I haven't seen that yet. Cheers.
I said he did well.
Well, that obviously means one thing. He's obviously won the Intercontinental title.
No, I didn't say that.
I hope Drew McIntyre did something. Anyway, Chris Corrigan, Sailor C86, reminded us that it was a bag of shirts that they lost in transit down San Jose. So the Caps had to borrow the shirts from supporters. That's what that was.
No, but they
mentioned where the blood came
from.
No.
No. I'm sorry. I misremembered that as well. But the term blood spare came out of that game because they said they always had extra jerseys and they called them blood spares.
Ah.
Yeah.
North Van Steve said the whole Fresno fiasco is another baffling decision by the Caps this year. One of many.
It could be the only year they have him there, though, if that reserve team comes into place.
Had a couple of folk commenting just on our bits on the South Side thing there, so thanks to those guys as well. So anyway, thank you for staying with us until this time. But just before we do go this week, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
For me, it's at Zachary AM, and Zachary AM, and I'm a part of the Movement Cover Collective.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada, on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. Listen out for the preview show. It should be hopefully Thursday this week. We'll see how that goes. Big weekend coming up for the Whitecaps. As I say, try and get out to the UBC Clan game if you can on Friday. We will be back next Sunday. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.
AFTN.